On this week's show, eBay's problems continue to multiply, Etsy adds a new insider buyer program, and Amazon, they want your Christmas stuff right now. What is up, Galaxians? Welcome to episode number 258 of the Galaxy CDs Rocks and Flips Reseller Talk podcast. My name is Ryan, and I'm going to be your host. If you're new to the channel, I'm a full-time reseller, part-time YouTuber, and podcaster working out of my home here in the greater Cincinnati area. And pretty much every Monday, I bring you all the reselling news that you need to know for your reselling business. In fact, this week, there's so much of it that I'm going to skip the What Sold segment that I usually do at the end of the show. That will appear later this week, either as part of the Wednesday YouTube Live that I do or as a separate video. But there is just so much news to cover that I thought we would get stuck right in.
News updates.
We are going to kick it off with this article about Etsy. This is on Value Added Resource, and as always, I will link to these in the show notes and the video description. Down below, Etsy has announced a new insider buyer membership program ahead of their earnings call. So this is brand new. They're hoping to put their own spin on Amazon Prime, introducing Etsy Insider Buyer Membership Program ahead of their earnings call. The program will roll out in a closed beta test to just select U.S. buyers in mid-September. So this is about 5 or 6 weeks away. Part of the program is it's going to offer free shipping, free domestic shipping, special access to discounts, and other perks in what Etsy hopes will become a, quote, an important lever in turning our strong brand affinity into deeper customer loyalty. In mid-September, we will launch a closed beta version of Etsy Insider to select buyers in the United States. Shoppers who receive an invitation, so this is invitation only, will have the option to purchase a seasonal or annual membership, which will unlock special benefits, including, again, free U.S. domestic shipping on millions of items, a birthday bonus, limited edition annual gift, which is designed by an Etsy seller, first access to special discounts and select merchandise, and double impact with Donate the Change. Etsy also added that they were quick to assure sellers these perks will come at no cost to them and will be funded by Etsy and through the membership fee. But curiously, the announcement failed to specify what exactly that fee will be. So no idea yet what this is going to charge or what this is going to cost to customers who want to participate. Chief Operating and Marketing Officer Raina Moskowitz declined to put an exact dollar figure on Etsy Insider, according to the Associated Press, but indicated it would be, quote, about the cost of a latte. So we will see what that looks like. We want people to start their shopping journey on Etsy rather than come to Etsy when they're just looking for something very specific, she said in an interview. They did not disclose how much customers must pay for this new loyalty program, but she said the monthly fee will be close again to the cost of the latte. She also said the company will decide on whether or not to do a nationwide rollout of the program after seeing what resonates with customers. So this is going to be one of those things that is going to be very limited, or pretty limited, at least in scope, initially in September, closed beta by invitation only, and then they're going to see what it does and how well it works out, and then they'll make a decision about whether or not they want to roll it out globally. They said that they were likely to hear more when Etsy announced their Q2 earnings that day, which I don't have any information on for us today, unfortunately. So that is coming. They said there would be no cost to sellers for this program. However, this article over on E-commerce Bytes says that the program is going to rely on seller-funded deals and drops for this new program. Etsy is again launching this paid membership program called Etsy Insiders, offering free shipping and other benefits. And while Etsy will obtain membership fees and will subsidize the free shipping, it will rely on the sellers to offer the exclusive discounts to members of the program. So if you are currently offering free shipping, this isn't really going to help you any. If you currently do customer paid shipping, Etsy is saying that they will cover the cost of the shipping. They will reimburse you as the seller. So you'll get your shipping money, just like you normally do. However, to participate in the program as a seller, you're going to have to offer some sort of either a deal or a new item. The article continues on. A seller commenting on the Auction Bites blog pointed out that Etsy had pressured sellers to offer free shipping all along, meaning sellers are already subsidizing those shipping costs. So remember that. Again, it might be time to consider, like I did a couple of years ago, whether free shipping is still a good model for you, because this essentially, you're subsidizing it, and Etsy is not going to have to pay anything to do this if you're offering free shipping. In its news coverage, CBS reported that Etsy did not, again, disclose how much customers pay for this new program, but again, roughly as much as a latte. Yeah, Etsy insiders will run in beta testing with a limited number of buyers beginning in September. Etsy provided a page for sellers to show their interest in participating in deals and drops, where it provided the following information. Etsy Insider Deals and Drops Seller Interest Form. Thanks so much for your interest in participating in Deals and Drops for Etsy Insider. Below are more details about how it works. Deals, limited time seller-funded discounts on one item from your shop targeted to the Etsy Insiders. Discounts should be, hold your breath, folks, 50 to 75% from original retail price, and we'll work with you on a suggested available quantity. So they want you to offer a massive, massive discount. I don't know that they're going to require. It says they should be between 50 and 75%. It doesn't say if that's mandated or not, but if that is actually the mandated minimum discount to participate, I would have to think they'll probably have a hard time getting takers on that. That's just me. If you're watching on YouTube, you can let me know in the comments, would you be willing to offer 50% off on a handmade type one-of-a-kind item in order to participate in this program? I don't do that, so I don't know. For my own part, I probably would not. That seems like a big, big number. For drops, first access for Etsy insiders to a new item in your shop. Will work with you to create a new item, which can be a brand new creation or a modification to existing designs in your shop. Modifications could include a new color, added details, different sizes, etc. That one strikes me as being a little more interesting. If you've got something that you already make and you want to make it in a slightly different way, different size, different color, whatever, and then offer it, but without any discount, that one to me is a lot more attractive. Again, let me know in the comments what you think. This is a great opportunity to continue to showcase your amazing listings in a dedicated space on Etsy and in marketing emails to engage buyers. We're looking to work with sellers who have a strong track record of sales and positive reviews. If you're interested in participating, please use the form that they included on the page to submit your information. Etsy is also surveying sellers, asking them for their overall impression and if they believed Etsy insiders would provide positive value both for buyers and sellers. It asked respondents if they felt the benefits of the program feel unique to the Etsy brand. No. I mean, even the articles kind of say it's their take on Amazon Prime, but without a lot of the benefits. I don't know how I feel about this. I guess it would be kind of cool, particularly at the holidays, if you're shopping for kind of a really unique item and you have a seller that provides a different spin on an item in one of these drops. This might be kind of a cool thing. Again, assuming that the cost is fairly low. But I don't know. There's none of the other, I'm not getting like Etsy video service or something else that would help sweeten the pot. So it's going to have to be significantly less than what Amazon currently charges, in my opinion. Again, let me know what you think in the comments. And how interested they were in participating in the program in the future. Etsy closed the survey by asking about seller respondents, including when they first started selling on Etsy and where they currently lived. It also asked what they currently sold, offering the following options: digital items, clothing, jewelry, art, toys, home and living, vintage items, craft supplies, furniture, and other, with an option for not currently selling on Etsy. There's a link in this article for more information about the program, and you can leave a comment as well. So interesting goings on over at Etsy. Again, this isn't really reinventing the wheel, I guess, but it is something new for Etsy, and I guess I can see some potential, probably more so for the drops than for the big discounts, but I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Moving on over to eBay. eBay sponsored items from this seller snafu, a tech misexecution, or dark pattern design. This article is over on Value Added Resource. So this is an interesting one. A recent change in how eBay is displaying some promoted listing ads on item pages is raising concerns about whether the company is using dark pattern practices to deceive consumers or if their AI systems, again, have simply run amok. Longtime eBay community member Wasting Time 101 noticed many listings on eBay now have a section of ads titled Sponsored Items from this seller. But importantly, upon further investigation, the items featured in the section are not, in fact, listings from that seller. That is all bad. The seller wrote, I was looking at some of my own active listings while logged into this posting ID. I was checking how some of my shipping settings were appearing. Upon scrolling down, I found sponsored items from this seller with 2 rows of ads. The problem with that, I'm not using sponsored listings, but that would be a big problem, number one, and none of those postings were mine. They were all from the same seller, but that seller was not me. eBay is notorious for running like millions of ads and other postings already on your listings, some of which are sponsored, some of which are not, and that's not going to go away. The idea, though, that they are tagging these as coming from you when they are in fact coming from someone else is really problematic, because if you have taken the time and you have done the work to develop trust with your buyer and they are shopping specifically from you and they see those things and click on them and decide they want to add them to their cart, and then at the end, maybe they don't even notice, but they find out they're purchasing from someone totally different, that's no bueno. They went on to provide multiple screenshots and examples of listings that had this sponsored items from this seller section, showing listings again that were from different sellers. While this section of ads is far down past the over 100 other ads eBay stuffs into every listing, that still raise concerns about whether consumers may be misled. They said there are about 4,769 sponsored ads already on every listing, both above and below the description. So my assumption is most buyers will not scroll that far down and notice the 2 errors I called out: sponsored items from this seller and influenced by recent sponsored views. So far, I've only seen the problem below the fold, not above. So this is way, way down the page. Still problematic, still not right, still not what you want. That said, this user said it's sloppy, misleading, and inevitably some buyers will see it and end up confused. The only reason I noticed it, they said they never scroll down that far, is because I was glancing over competing ads displayed on my listings, which is something that we all probably should do from time to time. It's a quick and easy way to see similar items or maybe even the same item and to see how competitors are pricing it. So that's not a bad thing to be looking at as you're scrolling around on eBay anyway. Other sellers said that it could be confusing, especially if they're looking to purchase it, as I said, multiple items from the same seller in order to save on shipping. One user wrote, that's crazy and so confusing for buyers. What if they were looking to buy multiple items from the same seller to save on shipping and then find out they had agreed to buy from several different sellers instead? When paid advertising, then called cross-promotion, was first introduced years ago, the idea of allowing eBay to promote other sellers' items on your listings was sold as a mutual beneficial quid pro quo system. Sellers who were willing to participate would allow eBay to show other sellers' listings on their items, and in turn, of course, you would have the opportunity to have your listings displayed on other sellers' items. More importantly, if you wanted, sorry about that, if you wanted to opt out completely, losing the supposed benefit, but retaining complete control over your listings, you could do that. That has changed. They killed the opt-out function back in 2019 when then CEO Devin Wenig was going all in on promoted listings to power revenue growth. So there you go. You can let me know what you think of that in the comments down below over on YouTube. But that is a real problem if another seller's sponsored items are being misrepresented as being yours. They also have another problem with ads. Once again, this is a little bit of a different one. eBay buyers are pushing back on ads that are now being inserted in your purchase history. I've not looked in my purchase history for a while. I guess I probably need to go take a look at that. But buyers are expressing frustration with the latest update to the eBay app that inserts intrusive and disruptive ads into the purchase history experience. Hi, how can I get rid of the new, very, very annoying, frequently bought together pop-ups when checking my purchases on eBay? The addition of the frequently bought together tile in my purchase history makes it unusable. I look at my purchases history all the time for shipping updates and to see what I paid for items. Having an ad on every other line in the top 5 to 10 items makes the screen unusable and frustrating. Please remove this feature ASAP or provide an opt-out. If you really need to have the feature, they said, move it to the bottom of the detail screen after you click on your item purchase history. It also has duplicates that I can see on the screen they added. So again, another instance of eBay trying to show you more stuff to buy, which I get. I totally understand. They're trying to make sales. We're going to get into in a little bit here their quarterly earnings report, which will help explain why they are pushing so hard to get more sales. But nonetheless, if it is so cluttered that you can't actually do the thing that you're trying to do when you're looking at your purchase history, that makes for a bad user experience. So that's no good. Another person wrote in, hi, just updated my app, and instead of multiple repeats of my purchases, I'm now getting hundreds of advertisements in my purchase history. These are sponsored ads and are making tracking purchases difficult. These advertisements are between each purchase, and there are lots of them. If you're watching on YouTube and you've noticed this, please let me know in the comments if it is as bad as these people are making out. I have not looked at mine, so I can't comment. Can anyone tell me how to reverse the update? I'd rather have multiple repeats of things I've bought than hundreds of intrusive ads. The update, they said, also appears to be global, with buyers in the UK adding their concerns as well. So that's going on overseas. What are you doing, eBay? One person wrote in, why have you now filled our purchase history section with spam frequently bought with this item? Keeping track of our purchases is so important, and not having that section of the app littered with spam is vital to track past purchases, statuses, etc. Why have you added this nonsense? Nobody has asked for it. And that is kind of an ongoing thing, in my opinion, with eBay in particular. They continue to add things, options, buttons, whatever, ways to do things that no users are asking for. That they, as some people say frequently, they seem to think that they know best what people want, and it appears sometimes that they may not even use their service because the things that they come up with just don't really make any sense. One longtime eBay community member, eBurton Labs, suggested using a desktop or mobile browser instead of the app as a temporary workaround, and provided tips on how buyers can report their negative experience and provide feedback about this update directly to eBay. Kudos for having a workaround, but we shouldn't have to have a workaround to go look at already purchased stuff. That just doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. So let me know again in the comments what you think and if you have noticed this situation over on eBay. Here's an interesting one. A new eBay tool, which they've been talking about since kind of summer seller update time, to help sellers track earnings and cost of goods sold, suffers a premature launch failure. This happened on, I think, August 2nd. eBay's new tool, which was meant to help sellers track earnings and cost of goods, suffered an embarrassing premature launch failure today, with an incorrect link emailed to users and incomplete data showing in the reports. Sellers took to the community to report a link in the notification email they received announcing the, quote, simplified consolidated view of your eBay earnings, but led to the dreaded, it's not you, it's us, error message that we've all seen from time to time over on eBay. And you can see, if you're watching on YouTube, where the link led. An eBay community rep, Devin, responded asking for the exact link that was leading to the error page. Everybody apparently that tried it was getting the same error. If you dropped all of the tracking stuff from the link, you could, however, in fact, get to that report, which I did, and then you see what the next problem is, and that is there's nothing there. It is absolutely full of zeros. It has no information. It has not captured any data whatsoever. So that is really problematic as well. I mean, it's not a big deal, I guess. This is a new thing. It's going to be glitchy. I get it. But why I didn't get the email, so I'm not part of this group. Why send out an email to people asking them to go look at this feature if it's actually not going to be populated with any data at all? It's not even that it's incorrect data. It's just literally blank. It's crazy. As the article says, it unfortunately only solved half the problem as it quickly became apparent the feature is not ready for prime time. This account definitely had sales between July 1st and 31st, but again, their report showed zeros. I don't even know, 400 sales probably in that transaction period, and mine still shows all zeros as well. Pretty much every seller that looked at it also had the same thing. Thanks for clearing up the link, one said. Agreed that it still doesn't work, but at least it's the actual page and not an error page. Shows no sales for us too, and we had quite a bit in that time period. So let me know if you've tried to use this and if yours looks like mine. Goodness gracious. eBay did announce last week the dates for eBay Open 2024. So that's good news. This is always a big event for eBay. The virtual seller conference is scheduled for September 25th and 26th. Registration links should be in your seller hub if you are interested in doing that. It is a virtual only event, it looks like. Each day, they say, we'll start off with a keynote, probably pre-recorded with messages from the CEO, the VP General Manager, eBay Motors Vice President, and so on. So lots of people giving their speech. There's a link to the details and the full agenda. Instead of the 3-person kickoff events eBay hosted last year, or 3 rather, in person, sellers can choose from over 30 seller-hosted events being held the day before on September 24th. If you are local to the greater Cincinnati area, there is one being held. I believe it's in Harrison, Ohio, on the 24th. I have registered to go, so if you're local to the Cincinnati area and you're interested in hanging out, I will probably be there for that. I'm curious to see what this thing is all about. So eBay Open coming up in September, month and a half away, the 25th and 26th, with in-person meetings on the 24th for local networking. So that's good news. This next bit is not. eBay's Q2 2024 earnings call. Lowered forecasts call, again, the enthusiast strategy into question. So this is something we've talked about several times on this show. eBay has really gone hard in on the enthusiasts, the people that they say are spending multiple thousands of dollars on their vertical target categories. So things like trading cards, sneakers, high-end collectible handbags and watches and that sort of stuff. And they've really, really pushed for that to be their ticket to growth. And it just does not seem to be getting a lot of traction. They reported stalled active buyer stats, barely noticeable gross merchandise volume growth, and they lowered their Q3 forecast. That raises again the questions about whether the CEO's enthusiast buyer strategy is really paying off. Here are some high points from the press release. Revenue was $2.6 billion, which was up 1% on an as-reported basis and up 2% on an FX-neutral basis. So a little bit of an increase in revenue. Gross merchandise volume, $18.4 billion, also up 1%. They returned a massive $1.1 billion to stockholders in Q2, including $1 billion in share repurchases and $135 million in cash paid as dividends. So highly profitable, apparently, or at least a lot of cash coming in because they bought $1 billion of their own stock back. Total active buyers were reported at 132 million, which was flat compared to both last quarter and year over year. This marks the 9th consecutive quarter with less active buyers than Q1 of 2018. So it's 6+ years since they have had an increase in buyers. eBay also, as a reminder, changed their definition of gross merchandise volume and active buyers back at the end of 2021 and restated both figures going as far back as 2018. There is a chart. Again, I will link to this if you want to go look at it. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see the steady downward trend up through about Q2, it looks like, of 2022 when things kind of flattened out at the now current level. But obviously big spikes during COVID and then fell off a cliff. Enthusiast buyers, who are the big target, have also remained flat at 16 million, which is where they've been since Q4 of 2022, although CFO Steve Priest says the average spend per enthusiast buyer has increased slightly from, quote, over $3,000 in previous quarters to just over $3,100. So that's not a huge increase. Again, I get why they're focusing on these people if they're spending that kind of money. But there is obviously a ton of money being left on the table by kind of ignoring I don't want to call them low value buyers, but that's what we are. Those of us who are spending a couple $100s a year on eBay, when you multiply us out by the millions of us that there are, that's a lot of money that they are not really focusing on at the moment. What else have we got here? 18.4 again billion in gross merchandise volume. They made 2.6 billion in revenue. 16 million again enthusiast buyers. They declined to provide active seller figures, which were last reported in the 2021 Q4 report at 17 million. I would be curious to know that number. You see a lot of anecdotal evidence that sellers have left eBay for a variety of reasons, to go to other platforms or just walk away from reselling altogether. But I'd be really curious what their current active seller base actually is. They apparently believe, the article continues, that this 1% increase in GMV was enough to satisfy their previous forecasts of returning to GMV growth, but guidance for Q3 came in lower than expected, and Q4 expectations are also unimpressive at 0 to 2%. Hardly anything to write home about. So again, they're not predicting big growth going forward into the fourth quarter, which obviously is the big time of year for most of us, which gets your attention a little bit as a seller. That is a big time of year for all of us when we do a bulk of our business, and they're not projecting really much growth there. They're only predicting a couple of $2 billion more in Q4 than they just reported for Q2. So not great news there over at eBay. While there was no direct mention in the call of competition from Temu and Shine on the call, it's clearly still on everyone's minds, with the CEO quick to point out that eBay is seeing cross-border growth from Japan and China. There was also no mention, they said, of the recently announced investor-recommended independent values assessment that eBay is undertaking to determine if they are living up to the principles and commitment outlined in their human rights policy. But investors who made the recommendation may understandably be holding questions and commentary until the results of that investigation are known. eBay is leaning heavily on their recent acquisition of Golden Auctions, eBay live events, and recent engagement at the National Trading Card Convention, which we talked about a couple of weeks ago. Did not go particularly well. Going back to their ongoing problems with their search and the fact that they lost one of their biggest trading card sellers to another platform. Alex Hughes from Barclays challenged their CEO in the call, calling out that mega seller Burbank Sports Cards took the occasion of the National, which we reported on, I believe, last week, to announce they are going to be removing millions of cards. Looking at collectibles, news came out earlier this week that one of your trading card power sellers was moving to Fanatics in the next few months. Could you give a little more color as to that situation and if the golden deal played a factor? They dodged the first part of the question and gave a vague answer to the second, according to this article, saying, yeah, I can't talk about any one seller. We have millions of sellers on the platform. What I say about collectibles is that we feel really great about the innovation that we're driving in that business. Golden coming on brings the world's most desirable inventory and collectibles onto the marketplace and new capabilities. The reception, they said, that Golden had last week at the National was really amazing. We had over 50 eBay live events that we held there, and the consumer and hobbyist is really resonating with the steps that we're taking, including bringing Ken Golden and his team into the business. So I guess it's kind of a mixed bag. The new addition of Golden, the loss of Burbank, maybe it ends up being a wash, but in a profit-driven, stock-driven business, a wash is not good enough. They've got to be able to generate growth. And as we've reported, seemingly every time there are quarterly earnings, eBay is not generating significant growth. eBay is hoping the new integration with Venmo will help attract more Gen Z and millennial shoppers. And while Jamie, the CEO, did not provide a demographic breakout, he said initial results have been positive, with a, quote, significant portion of Venmo payments coming from new or reactivated buyers. That would be people who have not made a purchase recently on the platform. They also said their new business cash advance offering in partnership with Liberis, which we've talked about, gosh, that was probably a month ago, already funding over 1,000 sellers and dispersing millions of dollars in working capital. If you have applied for that program and enrolled in it, let me know what you think of it. Have you borrowed any money to acquire inventory for Q4 or to do physical upgrades to your warehousing space or anything like that? Let me know. I'd be curious what the terms are and if it was a fairly simple process. They went on to say, once again, consumer-to-consumer sales were a major point of interest in the German and UK markets, especially after fee-free selling and other pre-loved fashion initiatives, but they gave no hints or clues whether that will be expanding to the US anytime soon. So we talked about that a couple of weeks ago with Depop, I believe, eliminating their seller fees, along with Mercari having done so. eBay has trialed this in Europe. No indication whether they intend to try to bring that to the US at all. eBay also hit a milestone with their authentication offerings, with a pair of Air Jordan 1 Low Lucky Green sneakers being the 10 millionth item authenticated since the program was introduced back in 2020. The company has continued struggle with growing the program, only introducing small incremental changes like expanding consignment to more luxury fashion items and adding the ability for buyers to opt into authentication for handbags below $50 or below, $500, but by paying a fee to do so. So kind of a mixed bag on their call. Not really drops in any big categories, but not significant gains, which is what the shareholders are clamoring for. Moving over to Amazon. They did not have those problems. Amazon North American sales up 9% in Q2. So they just continue to roll along. Amazon grew North American sales in the second quarter of 2024 year over year and grew international sales 7%, or 10% if you exclude changes in foreign exchange rates. Worldwide paid units grew 11% in the quarter. So not only are they making more money, they're selling a lot more stuff as well. And again, importantly, third-party sellers accounted for 61% of worldwide paid units in the quarter, excluding the impact of Whole Foods. Amazon CEO Andy Jassy said in the company's press release on Thursday, "We're continuing to make progress on a number of dimensions, but perhaps none more so than the continued re-acceleration of Amazon Web Services growth." So that is their corporate web service. If you set up a website or you're running a business, you can use their servers and their services. That is an ever-growing piece of their business. We've talked about that in these quarterly earnings reports for the last couple of years, how big that has become for them. As companies continue to modernize their infrastructure and move to the cloud while also leveraging new generative AI opportunities, Amazon Web Services continues to be customers' top choice as we have much broader functionality, superior security and operational performance, a larger partner ecosystem, and AI capabilities like SageMaker for model builders, Bedrock for those leveraging frontier models, Trainium for those where the cost of compute rather for training and inference matters, and Q for those wanting the most capable general AI assistant for not just coding but also software development. There is a link to the whole press release which you can read if you'd like. Again, the high points: net sales increased 10% to $148 billion in the second quarter, compared with $134.4 billion the previous year. Excluding the $1 billion in unfavorable impact from year-over-year changes in foreign exchange rates throughout the quarter, net sales increased 11%. So a little bit less money than they would have liked because of the change in the way dollars get counted against foreign currency, but hard to squawk about 10% gains. North American segment sales increased 9% year over year to $90 billion. International segment again increased 7% to $31.7. AWS segment sales increased 19%. So that is a huge growth area for them to $26.3 billion. So it's not, it compares really favorably to their actual sales of stuff. That's how big this service has become. Just phenomenal. Kudos to them for doing that, man. That is just incredible how much money they're making. Operating income increased to $14.7 billion in the second quarter compared to just $7.7 billion in the second quarter of the previous year. So almost double their operating income. North American segment income, $5.1 billion compared to $3.2 the previous year. Just win after win after win. I'm not going to go through all of these, but operating cash flow up 75% to $108 billion for the trailing 12 months, which compared to $61.8 billion for the previous time frame. Just amazing. Congratulations to Amazon, I guess. Speaking of sellers who use Amazon FBA, As I mentioned in the intro, Amazon wants your holiday inventory starting right now. Sellers who use Amazon FBA to fulfill their orders have until October 19th to get their inventory to the fulfillment centers to guarantee it is Prime badge ready by Black Friday. So they're trying to get you to send your stuff in now so that they can get it processed, get it put wherever it is they're going to put it so that they can be ready for Black Friday and have that stuff processed, stored, ready to ship. So if you have holiday merchandise, now is the time to get it in there. But they shouldn't wait until October. We recommend sending FBA inventory to fulfillment centers in August and September. Again, you want to avoid the crush as you get closer and closer to the deadline of October 19th. Obviously, more and more people are going to be trying to send their stuff in, and you could get caught in some delays. So that's why their recommendation to do it now. Amazon said its fulfillment center teams would be focused on receiving inventory in September and October to make sure products are placed in the right fulfillment centers prior to peak. In November and December, we'll shift our focus to processing customer orders as this is our busiest time of the year. So again, get that stuff in there now if you're an FBA seller so that your stuff is ready for Christmas. They also advised FBA sellers that, and this has been the case, I think, the last few years, they may see lower estimated capacity limits for October and November. The Capacity Monitor tool helps you stay up to date on capacity limits. You can now view those capacity limits for October and November. They will be available starting on August 20th, so in about 3 weeks. All date recommendations, of course, are subject to change. Amazon also eliminated the overage fee for inventory storage effective July 1st. This means if your on-hand inventory exceeds your capacity limit, you will not incur the overage fee. So that's kind of cool. One seller asked a question asking for confirmation about charges. So just to confirm, if your on-hand inventory exceeds your capacity limit, you will not incur the overage fee. Mean that we have, say, 20,000 cubic feet in October and we fill it by the end of October, and then our limits drop, like last year, to say 14,000 cubic feet in November, we won't get hit with overage charges and basically won't let us send in anything past October. There was no response to that in this article. So I guess if you're a seller over there, you'd have to go to that message board and see what the response was. Last bit of news for this week. This was posted over on eBay. United Parcel Service, UPS ground rate changes are coming on August 12th. Effective August 12th, UPS will increase some ground rates on the eBay labels platform. Now, this article is specific for eBay. I have not seen a similar one come out from like Pirate Ship saying that there's going to be any changes. So be aware that at least eBay is reporting that there are going to be some changes to the costs of their UPS labels beginning on August 12th. The increases, they say, vary by weight and zone and generally affect packages from between 2 and 11 pounds. The rates for 1 pound packages generally are going to decrease across all zones. Even with this rate adjustment, sellers continue to receive heavily discounted rates when shipping with UPS using eBay labels. They recommend, of course, that you check weights and zones to see how these campaigns may impact your shipments. The shipping calculator will automatically update on August 12th with those new rates. So that, my friends, is what is going on in the world of reselling. That is a big old mess of reselling news. Hopefully you got something useful out of it. It's not been a terrific summer, particularly for eBay. They have tried to roll out numerous programs, some of which have rolled out and then rolled back. We talked a couple of weeks ago about some changes that had appeared over in some of the seller reports and seller hub areas, the advertising dashboard. Some of those changes that I saw over a couple of week period have since reverted back to what they were previously. So I don't know if those were tests or if it was a rollout that just wasn't going quite well and they decided to pull it back and revert to the old platform. I don't know what's going on over there. Let me know if you've seen the same thing, but a lot of the things that I had seen change over about a 2 or 3 week period have almost all reverted back to their original state, which I found really, really unusual. Etsy, again, continues to try to add new programs and new tweaks, trying to get their user base to grow. You can let me know what you think in the comments. I'm not completely convinced that they're on the right track there. We'll see how this new program rolls out. Again, they've been pretty tight-lipped about how many people and how much it's going to cost. There's been no comment whatsoever that I can see about how many sellers have agreed to participate and how many of them have agreed to participate with discounts or with exclusive items. So there's a lot to learn there about what's going on over at Etsy. So kind of a messy week. Again, I wanted to keep this one focused solely on the news. If you follow me over on Instagram, you know it was not that great a week in sales. Anyway, I don't know how your week was. Mine, Etsy was fairly good. It was a little better than normal, but eBay was really, really poor last week. So hopefully you got something again out of this. Thank you, as always, for spending a little bit of time with me this week. If you did get something, please do me a favor. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button. If you're not currently a subscriber to the channel or a follower of the podcast, please consider doing that as well. And if you could, share this with any of your like-minded reselling friends. We will be back on Wednesday, possibly with that What Sold and a discussion just in general about reselling and some trends I've seen with other YouTube channels talking about reselling. So look forward to seeing you on Wednesday. And now it's time to sell. Thanks, guys. You have been listening to the Galaxy CDs Rocks and Flips Reseller Talk podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will catch you again next time.